I tried peptides after 40, and here's exactly what happened. Everything you've heard about peptides is probably missing the one part that actually matters. They're not a trend, they're not magic, and they're definitely not a shortcut. But if you're a woman over 40 who's exhausted, watching the scale climb even though you've done everything right, feeling like your body suddenly has a mind of its own, understanding what peptides actually are might change how you see your body entirely. Not because peptides fix everything, because learning about them is what taught me actually to how to listen to mine. By the end of this video, you'll know what peptides really are, why so many women over 40 are talking about them right now, and the biggest mistake I have made when I first started exploring them. So what are peptides exactly? Think of your body as constantly sending out short text messages. Heal this, repair this, reduce inflammation, balance this hormone, build muscle, make collagen. Peptides are those messages. They're short chains of amino acids that tell your cells what to do next. Here's what surprised me. You already have peptides in your body right now. Scientists have identified many different ones, each tied to a different function, and researchers are studying how they may play a role in metabolism, healing, inflammation, immune response, and recovery. There isn't one peptide, there are thousands. And there's a reason this conversation is happening right now, especially for women our age. Peptides have moved out of the fitness and bodybuilding circles into mainstream wellness and longevity medicine. And a lot of that interest is tied to perimenopause and menopause, where the hormone shift change and how our bodies handle metabolism, energy, and recovery. Autoimmune thyroid conditions like Hashimoto's, which is where my story goes, also affect women at a far higher rate than men. So it's not a coincidence this conversation is landing hardest right now. The first peptide I ever heard about was GLP-1, and I considered it because I was frustrated. I was talking to a friend of mine, a nurse practitioner, because years early I had lost over 100 pounds. I thought I'd finally cracked the code on my body. Then the things that had worked for me just stopped working. The weight started creeping back, and I was doing everything I knew how to do with nothing to show for it. She suggested I look into GLP. Honestly, I was scared. I had heard the success stories and I'd heard the horror stories, but I also knew I couldn't keep repeating the same thing and expect a different result. So I tried it. At first, it was incredible. I lost 12 pounds. Then everything stalled. I kept telling myself, why is this working for everyone else and not for me? That question is what changed everything, because instead of assuming I just needed a higher dose, I started asking what my body was actually trying to tell me. That's how I found out I had Hashimoto's and I wasn't converting T4 to T3 efficiently. And once I understood that, I started seeing how connected everything in the body really is. Inflammation, thyroid, function, all of it. So here's what actually happened. The peptide didn't stop working because it failed. It stopped working because my thyroid needed attention. The GLP wasn't the end of the journey. It was a door into a much bigger world of peptides, one being studied for metabolism, healing, inflammation, and support. But the real reason had nothing to do with peptides. It was me. I'd spent years chasing the next thing that might fix me instead of figuring out what my body actually needed. That's the mistake I mentioned earlier, and it's the one I see most women make. That shift is how I changed how I approach my health today. If you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Peptides aren't magic, and they're not a replacement for sleep, nutrition, movement, or managing stress. They're tools. Potentially powerful ones, but still tools. Peptides are messages, but a message only works if the system receiving it can actually respond. Before you even think about starting, I'd ask yourself a few honest questions. Have you had recent lab work done, or are you guessing at what's really going on in your body? Are you eating in a way that supports your metabolism, or are you on a diet roller coaster? Are you moving regularly, not to punish yourself, but because muscle and mobility change how everything else in your body functions? Are you sleeping enough? And are you managing your stress? Because both of those drive inflammation just as much as anything else. If your body is inflamed, exhausted, or running on empty, the message can get sent and still not get through. Peptides are only as effective as the foundation you're building underneath them. If you've been answering those questions honestly and you think you might be actually ready, that's exactly why the LAMD questionnaire in the description below walks you through with physician guidance instead of guesswork. I am a brand partner with LAMD, and I want to be upfront that I earn a commission if you eventually purchase through my link. The deeper I got into this, the more I realized it was never really about weight loss. It was about learning to ask questions and understanding the symptoms aren't something to push through, they're information. People ask me constantly whether peptides are safe, so here's my honest answer. They're a serious tool, and serious tools deserve a thoughtful decision. Having Hashimoto's and knowing I have high inflammation, I chose to go the route with a regulated pharmacy and guided by a physician. Of course, it isn't for everyone, and that decision you need to make based on your goals and your own body. If this made you at the least bit curious about how peptides may help you reach your goals, check out the link in the description. LEMD has a free 3-minute questionnaire so you get a personalized starting point and a physician-guided care instead of guessing on your own. Subscribe if you want more honest conversations about inflammation, thyroid health, and working with your body instead of fighting it. Come and join me for my next video, My Mom's Heart Attack Made Me Get My Inflammation Tested. I'm Michelle. See you in the next video.